Hello, fellow orcs. This is KTG from the Orcs Den Training, back with part 3 of our 3-part segment series on post-lockdown returning to the gym. And the most obvious one right now, part 3, is going to be based around food. Now in this episode, when we talk about food, we're not going to give you a meal plan because everyone's meal plan is different. There's no point in me showing you what I eat because everyone is going to have different goals and different means and objectives. So what we're going to do is the most easiest and basic thing is we're going to give a list of all the good, healthy, key foods that you should be implementing in your diet. Right, now that doesn't mean you need to eat every single one. A lot of this is very much a case of pick and choose. I like that, I don't like that, let's customize around, right? The whole idea is kind of be flexible eating and be realistic. We're not all training for the Mr. Olympia or competition, so that doesn't mean getting up at 3 a.m. every morning and eating dry ass chicken and then 5 a.m. again eating steak and then meditating and then having a wank in a cold bath. It's very basic. This is just going to be very, very basic. What we've done is a whole list of foods, breaking them into 3 micronutrient categories, right? Well, the 3 basic ones anyway. So we started with the carbohydrates, apparently every middle-aged woman's enemy. We've got, on the third one, we've got all your proteins. That should be a carbohydrate. All your proteins here. And then on the last one, fats. Now, obviously, every one of these does not contain I haven't got every single food from the supermarket. These are just foods that I use on a daily basis. I'm going to take you through it. So, for carbohydrates, we have your rice. The most easiest one that everyone's going to think of is rice. Rice and chicken, rice and steak, rice and tuna. Rice is so bitch basic. But fuck me, does it work? These are old school methods. They work for a reason. Now, it's basmati rice, and then we've got brown rice. So we've got white and brown rice. What's the difference? White rice is higher on the glycemic index. Brown is lower. Right? Brown's more of a complex carbohydrate. It's not going to spike your insulin as much. Great for cutting, great for losing weight. The white rice will certainly spike your insulin much more, more for weight gaining. However, great for after a workout. Spiking your insulin drives all the nutrients straight to the muscles in line to recover. It is a great thing. Do not demonize it. They are brilliant. However, again, when it comes to maybe losing weight, and especially a lot of you chunky monkeys, let me pinch your cheek, let me punch your cheek. During lockdown, maybe want to lose weight. So, I'm currently on the brown rice at the minute, but I do have basmati rice from time. So, we're on to next one is pasta. I don't technically take pasta. The gluten sometimes tends to make me bloat. However, in this food journey we're about to embark on to the netherworld, everyone's going to be very different. What one food may affect me may not affect you the same way, right? So that's why there is no really clear food outlet I can give you. You kind of need to pick from the range of good foods and find out what you digest better. If it turns out that you're not shitting for 5 days, or you're shitting within 6 minutes of consuming the stuff, then fuck me. Stop taking the stuff. Listen to your body. I don't take pasta personally, but it's a good carbohydrate source. Porridge is a bitch basic one as well. Everyone takes porridge in the mornings. Porridge is great. Again, different types of porridge. If you find yourself that you get a wee bit bloated after porridge, consume less. If it doesn't work for you, then don't take porridge. But porridge is brilliant. Then you've got your vegetables. You've got bananas. Way! You've got curly kale or broccoli, whatever you prefer. Low carbohydrate sources. Not much carbs in vegetables, but there's still carbs in it. So therefore, in a meal, taking your curly kale or your broccoli, it's very low. If you take a meat source and a vegetable source, that's going to be a very, very, very lean meal. Again, you should be taking greens with every meal, but it's still a good carb source. But, for a serving, what are we talking? 1.1 gram of carbs. Fuck me. And then, one you might not think of, great for a pre-workout meal, actually. And a post. Cream of rice. Real fucking treat. You know that? A real treat. A real treat for the family. Scoop with some water, you get this real creamy texture. You can get it thick, it fills you up. That's one thing that porridge and cream rice does brilliantly. They fill you up. They are fantastic for that. So that's the carb sources done. Second part of the micronutrients, the proteins, or the proteins that everyone talks about. Every micronutrient is important, but it seems to be that every guy with a dick hard for muscle loves protein. And so do women as well. I mean, I think the protein is the kind of the secret micronutrient that somehow makes you lean and juicy and ripped as fuck. Well, somewhat of it's true, but the protein is just another essential that you need, okay, for the building blocks for muscle, to maintain the muscle and build the muscle in the first place. But you don't need to go crazy on it. You know, I have foamy piss at the minute, and the reason for that is I consume too much protein. You don't want to piss and then look down and there's bubbles and foam going around the place. So, in a moderation, but let's look at the proteins. Sidetracked. So, we have protein powder, the most basic thing. Now, I'm not going to talk about supplements in this one, but protein powder is a good source of protein. In the name, protein powder. Now, my best recommendation for powders and shakes is consume them only when you need to. You're on the go, take a protein shake. If you have the means to eat, it's much better to eat opposed to drinking all the time. First of all, you know, for especially people that's not used to it, you're going to get sick of it eventually. You're going to want to eat, and your first thing you go to, I promise you, is going to be a fucking big Whopper meal with double fries. So, use it sparingly. On the go, you want to drive for an hour, 2 hours, you're not going to be able to eat. Drink your protein shake. Tuna, fish source. I don't really like much fish. It stinks. I had a lot of bad experiences in school with women with fishy flaps and stuff. I personally prefer to keep tuna because you don't get that fishy flap smell, and it brings me back to bad memories. Camera woman is shaking her vag at me. So we go with the tuna sources. Now, tuna is good. You have your natural fish oils from it. That's why I incorporate them in as a different protein source, and they're cheap as fuck. They are really cheap. For 4 of these in Tesco, $2.83. $2.83 is a bargain. $2.83. Who's taking it? $2.83. So, tunas are brilliant for that. The next one, common, chicken. Who would have thought chicken would have been on the list? Chicken. Naked, wet, and ready. Chicken. Chicken's bitch basic again. Chicken works. It's lean as fuck. For a breast of maybe 200 grams of chicken, you're talking about 46 grams of protein. Hardly no fats, and it's just very lean. For example, 100 grams, 24 grams of protein, and 106 calories. Wow, guys. Wow. That's amazing. That is great. It's great. It's lean as shit. Chicken. You can't go wrong with chicken. But you also can't go wrong with red meat. Now, ethically speaking, you could say, well, red meat's not that nice, and some people don't digest it well. It is a very good source, especially for iron. In my personal preference, it gets you very nice and strong. Now, lean mince is fine, 5%. It tastes great as well. You eat it with many things. 125 grams of it, which would be a typical serving, is 26 grams of protein and 155 calories. So it's not far off the chicken, believe it or not. And it's a bit different from eating fucking chicken all the time. Mince is great. I love mince. I eat a lot of red meat. It doesn't seem to affect me, but judge by your body. If you take red meat a couple times a week and you find you're not digesting it too well, lower it to 1 day. If it doesn't work at all, scrap the red meat. But if you can consume it, it is certainly a superior protein source. Proteins do absorb at different rates. For example, beef and steaks tend to absorb 90% of the proteins. Chicken's about 80%. Then you get to the likes of nuts and plant-based proteins. Unfortunately, you sometimes only absorb about 46 to 48% of the proteins, believe it or not. I know vegetarians out there would tell me, but it's ethically and you can't get your protein content. You can if you work very hard, but there is different protein absorption rates, which people don't decide to tell you about. Finally, we have eggs. As you can see here, I'm a big fan of eggs. I have a lot of eggs. I get dirty luxuries in Tesco. I don't know if it's because I buy about 120 eggs while I go there. Possibly also it's because they're caged and people think I'm evil. Now, I can't afford free. If I was to buy 120 free range eggs, every week, I'd be fucking broke, man. So, cage is fine. There's nothing more superior than a cage and a free hen. I mean, the only difference is that one maybe suffered, well, one did suffer and one hasn't. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is, a caged hen, it's like, well, kill me now, I'm fucking caged. Once flying about free, they thought they had the whole future ahead of them, and then what happens? Meat cleaver comes down, ends their life. So, you decide yourself. I prefer the caged, just because it's cheaper. But 15 eggs, $1.19, well, who can beat it? Great for your fats. Now, You can mix these up with egg whites. In the mornings, I would do 4 whole eggs and about 6 egg whites. That's just the plan I'm on currently. Sometimes I was consuming 7 whole eggs in the mornings and about 7 at night again, which is a lot. People talk about cholesterol. Don't worry too much about cholesterol. It's more of an inherent family thing. There's a lot strong scientific research to suggest that you can't really affect your cholesterol from diet. It's more from if it's genetically more pleasurable in your family hereditary to get it, you're gonna get high cholesterol. The good thing about the oats is the majority of protein contains in the oats, but you've got your essential amino acids as well, which they are again fundamental blocks and building for muscle. Very important. Plus, guys, cholesterol helps. Good cholesterol, like eggs, helps the delivery of testosterone around the body. So for the hard dicks, for the lean muscle mass, for just feeling nice and horny all the time, and to build muscle, testosterone's a good thing. Take your oats. Then we're on to the next bit, which is fats. All right, so we've got the last bit here, which is the fats. All right, fats are very important. I'm actually trying to consume more of it at the minute, especially monofats. Monofats, you need fat to burn fat in your diet, but also monofats again is something that helps your leptin profiles go up, so you don't feel as hungry all the time, and also increases your testosterone as well. You need the fats, especially the mono. So my fat sources, it's not really that tricky. Obviously, sometimes I go for the higher percentage of red meat, that'd be a fat source, but fundamentally, you got peanut butter. You can take it in many different things, your Ryvitas or your toast, but I just take a spoonful of it with a chicken and kale meal. Strangely enough, I don't mix it in, I just, chicken, that's born, peanut butter, mix it around, you know. While watching a Gordon Ramsay show, trust me, watching a cookery show while eating boring foods, the taste of food's 100% better. Almonds. Almonds are great, again, brilliant source. You're gonna get a lot of your fats from these. Just watch some high calories. We're gonna talk about it, but servings are everything. Then you've got extra olive oil. Cooking olive oil. Don't cook in your vegetable oils, your sunflower oil. Olive oil, that's where your good fats are in. Tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, does you. You don't need to start trickling the thing and happy-go-lucky. And then when you're looking to go lean, 1 calorie spray oil, they still have fats in it, obviously. Still fatty oils. It's extra olive oil still. Only that's the days when you want to go, you want to get a wee bit leaner, but you still need the fats. So guys, that's the main foods that we would encourage. One thing left out of the carbs, by the way, which should be the major thing to mention, is potatoes. Brilliant source. Fantastic carb source. One of my main go-to, actually. I can't believe I didn't include it here. Sweet potato, white potato, not much difference. Sure, sweet has a bit more fiber in it, but really, guys, just go with whatever you prefer taste-wise. People will tell you, oh, sweet spirit is so much superior. It honestly, fucky doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sweet's great, and also white's great. So, again, don't demonize equality for potatoes. Okay, so the main, one of the main topics here is obviously on your plate, what it should look like. So I would suggest every meal, try to divide the 3 micronutrients up. Now, fibers are a given. A lot of these foods contain fibers. Potatoes are great for it. Oats are great for it. You're going to get your fibers. Keep an eye on it, certainly. But if we're going to talk about the 3 main things here, which is your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fat, every meal should be divided up equally. Now, I don't mean completely agree, 50-50 all around. For example, a good starting point would be maybe 40% proteins, 40% carbohydrates, and 20% fats. Now, it's going to change for everyone, sure, but that's a good place to start. So, an example of that would be, you've got a big, fat, juicy chicken breast in a plate. You've got a nice, neat wee pyramid of brown rice, potential white rice. And then on the side of it, you've got a good, chunky handful of nuts. Or maybe scrap the nuts. Maybe you sprinkle some olive oil over the chicken. That's your fats. You know, the fats is such a small amount, but it makes a big difference. That's a good example of a meal. Now, meal frequencies is another thing we dive into. Obviously, as bodybuilders, we would tend to eat every 2.5 hours to 3 hours. I would still suggest that for even basic people looking to lose weight or start to get into the game. You know, it's going to get your mindset into that. Starving yourself for long periods of time doesn't do much good for you. It'll end up actually putting you back to square one and probably gaining more weight. So try to eat small meals every 3 hours. That goes for women too. I mean, even if you're not building muscle and to lose weight, small meals throughout the day stabilizes your insulin responses and allows your body to sort of start to burn that fat. Gives it enough time to burn fat, then not to drop a lot of muscle and burn fat again. I mean, a lot of women talk about wanting to lose weight, but a lot of times when they do these kind of crash fasting and stuff, the weight they lose on the scale, it's muscle, it's not fat. I do want to dive in quickly though to condiments and sauces, because most of you when eating these meals, you're going to be putting some sort of sauce on them, okay? So, it's very important. A lot of people fuck this up from the sauce and condiments. I used to have a few clients where I used to watch out their foods and programs, and they used to say, Carl, I'm eating chicken and rice 5 times a week and I'm still not losing weight. And then when you looked at the amount of sauce, sweet chili sauce and stuff like that there, and mayo, it was heaped. I mean, you're maybe adding, maybe with that kind of shit, 100, 200 calories extra per meal. You know, maybe take 4 or 5 meals a day. That's an extra 1,000 calories. In a week, that's 7,000 calories. It's fucking mental. It rules out the purpose. So, be very careful when it comes to picking condiments. My suggestion is try to go cold turkey. Try for a few weeks of just eating dry ass food. Your mind will start to get used to it and you'll build up a resilience. And then when it comes to sort of like the more alright tasting condiments, you'll be able to take it. So vinegar. Vinegar's a great trick. I use it from some chicken. It's weird, but there's hardly nothing in it. 100 milliliters of vinegar is 14 calories. You literally only need a bit of this spoonful and trinkle it over it. You're probably talking about 3 calories on it. It's a great source and it makes it nice and wet for the chicken. Okay, so the next bit. These are common sauces that people go for, which we've got is soy sauce and brown sauce. Same goes for ketchup here. Now, I've discovered a little secret and a trick for the years of focusing on nutrition, and that is to do with the calorie content in sauces. Now, you'll find that the cheaper sauces have a lower calorie content than the more expensive ones. Now, that's probably because more expensive ones are more tastier. But that goes for desserts as well. Desserts are the same thing, and ice creams. Cheap ice cream, low calories. Expensive shit, high calories. So for the sauces, soy sauce in Tesco is about 80p, 70p. It's very low compared to the actual branded stuff. For around about per 10 milliliters, you're talking roughly around about 7 calories. On the other ones, however, you're talking around about 20 calories. Now, the brown sauce, this is the bit you might love. Cheap brown sauce, I would have this in the mornings with my eggs. Great thing. Fried eggs and brown sauce. I feel like I'm having a fry. I'm in heaven every morning. 15 grams of this stuff is 11 calories. That's it. Fancy sauce, barbecue. Do you want to know what 15 grams of this stuff is? About 70 calories. 70 calories. Now, at the time it might not seem much, but if you do that within about 2 to 3 meals every day, you're talking around about an extra 300 calories. Times that by the week, that's a full day of eating calories just based on fucking sauce. Cheap calories. Same as the soy sauce though. A serving to get that 10 calories is a spoonful. It's not sprinkling it over, and I guarantee you motherfuckers out there that's wondering why you're not losing weight and you're eating well, you're taking too much of the condiment, you're sprinkling it too much. I didn't realise when I actually filled a tablespoon up and poured it in how little of that sauce it is. But it's enough if you're rationing it over. That's the sauces. Now, instead of sauces, you can go with seasoning, garlic, oregano, pepper, salt. You know, these are things that help the food taste a bit nicer. But don't make it a cheat meal. You know, if you're having a good meal of chicken and veg and rice, don't go and ruin it by a really thick sauce just because you can get it down. If that's the case, you might as well go to fucking McDonald's. Be sensible with the sauces. Now, it's quite possible that a lot of you right now are probably thinking, well, give us an example of what you eat, KGG. Well, I'll give you a few examples, but that doesn't mean that you need to copy me. Don't copy me. In the morning, what I would take usually in the morning would be 4 eggs, whole eggs, and 6 egg whites in the pan with some of the spray. And then I would take 60 grams of oats and a handful of fruit and blend them together in a smoothie. It's an easy way to get the oats in without feeling bloated, and it's a quicker way to consume the meal. That's my breakfast. About 3 hours after that, I'll have a chicken breast, around about 200 grams, cooked, and a handful of broccoli, and then possibly a spoonful, 15 grams of peanut butter for the fats. After that, it would be another meal of tuna and brown rice. Then after that, it would be chicken and rice with a handful of nuts. And then after that, it would be some sort of a pre-workout meal. It could be cream of rice with a couple of sweeties and jellies. And then after that, it would be possibly 150 grams of lean mince and sweet potato. And then the olive oil. And then after that, before the end of the night, it would be whole eggs again. Now that's an example of what I eat. That might not work for you. Okay? You know, but figure it out for yourself. You know, that's just my cookie recipe. don't take my cookie recipe. So I want to get nice and close to the camera here to get nice and personal. What I would suggest, let me focus here. What I would suggest for you, because this is supposed to be a video to help you for COVID. I just talked about food. So whatever you decide to do, if you want to change your meals, start with one meal change, right? I'll give you a challenge. In the morning, start with oatmeal and say 2 whole eggs. If you don't like eggs, oatmeal, a handful of fruit, and you know, there's many different condiments, a bit of sugar in the oatmeal, something that's just a good, healthy meal to start the day, and at least a glass of water consumed beforehand, right? See the rest of it, don't change anything else. Keep eating the same things you've been used to eating for the last year or so, all right? And then about 2 weeks later, your brain's going to be tuned in going, okay, I'm eating this breakfast. Yep, I'm getting used to this. This is autopilot mode. Then you go with meal 2, you change. You change the lunch meal. Tuna. Some low-fat mayonnaise with it if you need a bit of that taste. Rice. Eat the same thing the rest of the day you want. Do it for another month or so. Stop. The lunch and the breakfast, this is second nature to me. I eat it every day now. Third meal change. And you build it up. I used to be about 16 stone. It took me this process over about a year to build up to eating all these bone foods every day. This is the trick here. And this is what you need to do. You've maybe spent a year or two not eating great. You need to do it in segments. If you go cold turkey for the rest of the day, the chances are you'll throw the head up and you'll say, fuck it to the hell of responsibilities. You'll crack open the nearest bottle of Jack Daniels and you'll drink your dreams away. So orcs, that is my suggestion for the food tips. I'll do other videos and going over, cooking equipment possibly, supplementation, vitamins, but they're the fundamental building blocks. I'm obviously a natural bodybuilder. I need to pay real close attention to my nutrition. I can't just be frivolous and sort of eat what I want. If I was injected into my dick every other day, that would be different. I can be a bit more loose, but I need to be on my shit here. And so do you, especially for the natural guys. You need to be on your shit. To get that head start with your journey, you need to be eating the right foods and you need to be getting used to them quickly. All these foods are a great source and they're not boring at all if you don't make them to be. With the right kind of condiments with them and cooked the right way, you'll get used to them and you'll go, this is second nature. And after you eat every meal, you'll take a big deep breath, chest out, and you'll think, fuck me, I feel great. I actually just had a tiny goal. Because every day your goals are to eat every one of them individual meals. So there's about 7 goals you're hitting every day. You're going to feel great. So that's my advice on foods and how to change it for post-COVID. Obviously, I'd appreciate if people subscribe and like the video below. If you need any individual tailored plans, we do it over at the Orcs Den Training, or you can go to my Instagram, Carl_Gibson_training, and I can sort you out for a meal plan, one-to-one coaching, motivation. I can get you horny. I can get you ready for it. I can do it. But this has been KGD Training from the Orcs Den, and I'll see you later.